In today's show, all you need to know about the elections that have already started in India.
You might also be interested in knowing who the two greatest traitors in history are. We'll get to that.
Well, we're talking about war. We have to talk about Gaza. And in today's show, what the children in Gaza are dreaming about.
And I also want to show you what it is like when an erupting volcano meets an electrical storm.
Wow, so exciting. Welcome to yet another thrilling episode of the Leena Shah Video Show. Yes, our first story today, Schehzad, is about the elections. They have already started in India. They started on the 19th of April. And let me tell you that these are the biggest elections that have ever happened in the world. And the stats are just insane. So we're going to start off with why we are talking about these elections. Well, first of all, India is one of the, by population, the biggest country in the world.
The biggest democracy.
Yes. Hence, that means that the elections that are going to happen are going to be the biggest elections in the world if everyone gets to vote.
Wow.
So it's a 6-week long election. So a month and a half. People of India are going to be voting for a month and a half. And these are the general elections in India. And here is all that you need to know. First of all, they started on the 19th of April, and they mark the commencement of India's 7-phase elections. So it's going to be conducted in 7 different phases. Millions of voters in the 766 districts across 28 states and 8 union territories step into polling booths. First of all, I didn't know India had 28 states. So there's like so much that I'm learning about India while I'm learning about these elections, of course. The first phase, which is the opening round of India's expensive general election, saw polling across 102 constituencies in 21 states, where Prime Minister Modi is campaigning to a continued 3rd term. The cost of these elections, these are going to be not just only the biggest elections of all times, but also the most expensive elections of all time.
This is like the Ambani elections.
Yes, this is the Ambani of elections. Okay, so the election cost is 14.4 billion US dollars.
That's more than the GDP of certain countries.
Yes. 969 million voters across India are going to be voting. These 969 people are actually eligible to vote. And this 969 million is more than the population of the United States and the European Union combined.
That just gives you some perspective.
Yeah. I mean, even if Brexit hadn't happened, even if people didn't know what Brexit was ever, even then it would still have been more than the population of the European Union and the USA combined. The voters are spread, the 969 voters are spread across the 28 states and the 8 union territories. And these voters are going to be deciding the composition of the Lok Sabha. And if you want to look at the scale of the operation, 969 million people, Schehzad, how do you get them to vote? And how do you do a fair election? I mean, this is a mammoth of a task. So 15 million staff and security are going to be conducting these elections at 1.5 million polling stations across India. Like, wow. Like, oh my God, it's a world of its own. No wonder they called it the subcontinent.
Yeah.
It is as big as a continent. And not just that, the elections have started on April 19th and they will continue for 6 weeks all the way up until June 1st. And we will have the final counting which is going to be on June 4th. So for about a month and a half, all the news channels in India have a lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, after that as well.
Well, they always have a lot, but especially during this time, this is
Right.
open season for the media in India. So who do you reckon? Is it going to be Mr. Modi?
I actually do not know anything about the Indian politics. So I'll just stay out of it.
Okay. Perhaps you can educate us. What do you think?
But I would like to say that I want to see all the Bollywood celebrities coming out, posting on their social media, encouraging people to go and vote. Because these are 969 million people eligible to vote. They are eligible. How many of these are actually going to vote? What is going to be the vote turnout? That depends on a lot of campaigns that the government may have already done on how the people are feeling. Are they feeling optimistic? And also on the leaders who are going to encourage everyone else to come forward and vote.
Yeah.
So if there's anything I know about India, it's Bollywood. And I am expecting Bollywood to encourage all their followers to go out and vote and participate in this elections.
Do you feel it's right? Because here in the United States of America, a president can only be elected for maximum 2 terms. And I was reading about when this was brought about. I forgot. But do you think that's how it should be?
Doesn't matter.
Well, it does to Obama and George W. Bush, who did 2 terms.
Yes, you're right. But what I'm saying is, I mean, it's a democracy, and we have a different kinds of democracies all over the world. I do support a democratic system, though it is not a perfect system. It's not an ideal system, and we do know that all systems are subject to entropy as well. But say in a ideal world, this does seem like an ideal system. So I am happy unless there is democracy.
Or a better system.
Or do you know of a better system?
I think certain systems work better in different parts of the world, certainly. And democracy, I don't think, is for everyone. There's certain parts that do well with socialism. It has its drawbacks as well. Please don't consider me a fascist. It has its drawbacks, but then at the same time, in terms of the nerve of the people there, in terms of the kind of the geopolitical landscape, it seems to work better in certain places.
Shehzad, you're so smart.
But we here in America, we believe in the First and Second Amendment and the Third.
We believe in all of them.
How many are there?
10.
For real?
No.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong. They were like amendments? Yeah. No, they're the 10 Commandments.
Oh, Leena, you smashed it.
That just tells you how educated I am when it comes to politics.
Sorry. The amendments versus the commandments.
I didn't say that.
I love it.
Okay, so that was our first news. If you are watching this in India, I am going to urge you all to go out and vote and participate in these elections and make a difference, make your voice heard.
And if you want to boycott the election, then give us a reason. What is your reason?
Right. I'd say don't boycott the elections, please. Go and vote. It feels like your voice doesn't matter, but let me tell you, it does.
Oh, really?
Or it will eventually matter.
That was a great comeback.
Shehzad, people are not going to take us seriously.
I know, right? Okay, we have a story.
After this, I can never ever be taken seriously.
Well, I have a story into which I have done a bit of research, but don't at least, take my complete word for it.
I need some tissue.
Sure.
Yeah.
My next story, Leena, is about the 2 greatest traitors in history.
Traitors.
Traitors.
Okay.
And this is considered in terms of the popularity and popular culture and religion as well. So first, I want to talk a little bit about the story of Julius Caesar.
Okay.
A lot of people still confuse Julius Caesar to have been the emperor of Rome, the Roman Empire. Julius Caesar was not the emperor of the Roman Empire. He was the master commander of the army of the Roman Empire.
Right.
And if everything was pointing towards Julius Caesar going on and becoming the totalitarian, the greatest emperor the world had ever seen. But in 44 BC, what happens? Julius Caesar just finishes a meeting with his Senate, and he's off to do another war campaign. But around 60 people from that Senate hid knives under their robes, and this included Brutus. Brutus, in fact, was one of Julius Caesar's closest ally. In fact, Julius Caesar had nominated Brutus to become the next person in power if something were to happen to him. So he was really close to him.
So I think he was Brutus was related to him.
I believe so as well.
Yeah.
So there was Cassius and there was Brutus. Now, the fact is that during this Senate meeting, before he's about to go out to another campaign, around 60 people within that Senate, they hid knives under their robes, and they all of a sudden attacked Julius Caesar. Why did this happen? Why did this whole conspiracy happen? Was because everyone in the Senate thought Julius is becoming far too powerful.
Yes.
This is going to get out of control.
Right.
So we have to stop him. The only way to do it is to kill him. Now, when the first person attacked him, it just kind of grazed him. So there are 60 people around Julius Caesar. They could all jump him. But the fact is, Julius's presence, just as a master commander, is so intense that even they were kind of hesitant that, who goes first? Like, should we do this? Should we not do this? But then gradually, they started striking him with the knives and started stabbing him with the knives. He was stabbed around 20 times, Leena, which goes to show that 60 people had knives, but there were only maybe 20 or less that actually had the courage to go and do it. And the final blow, I believe, was done by his close ally, Brutus, who also had a knife on him.
Right. So Brutus was his son, actually.
What?
There's rumors about it that he was from his mistress. And he had sent Brutus away before, and yeah, I mean, I have seen the scene picturized in a documentary series.
Yep.
And the scene itself, it holds so much gravitas as like such a huge leader, how he is killed inside the Senate.
Wow.
After a Senate meeting by so many people ganging up against him and killing him. So, oh my God, that scene is like, it's so intense.
And in fact, towards the end, when he was kind of succumbing to his wounds and people around him were standing, Brutus was also one to have stabbed him as well. What he does is he just tries to cover himself. This is from the records that we have. Just tries to cover himself and just to die in dignity. And finally he says, "Ec tu, Brutus," in Latin, which means "you too, Brutus." I mean, the others, maybe I get it, but I'm dying here and I'm just surprised that you too would betray me, So he is considered one of the greatest traitors in history. That was in 44 BC.
Wow.
Do you know what happened in another, say, odd half a century? We had the second biggest traitor in history.
And?
We are talking about Judas and Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Of how Judas was actually one of Jesus's disciples as well. He's in Leonardo da Vinci's painting of the Last Supper too, just acting a bit sneaky. It's like, I wonder if they know what I'm thinking, kind of thing, while he's having the food.
Okay.
This is delicious. Love the lamb shank here, by the way. And he's thinking that, but he was also one who betrayed Jesus Christ. And so in this very short time, there was something about that time that created two of the greatest traitors in history. Brutus and Judas. They also sound the same.
Right.
I'm not sure if that name has caught on, if parents name their children like...
I don't think so.
Yeah, because after World War II, the name Adolf kind of phased out as well, you know.
You know, talking about Brutus and how you mentioned that the last words of Caesar were used.
Was "Ic tu Brutus."
Okay, take two.
Ic tu Brutus.
Okay, that was...
It's a bit too much. It was Shah Rukh Khan in the early days.
No, that was really good.
That was Shah Rukh
That
Khan
was
in
great
the beginning.
performance. So you too, Brutus, like, so his one of the last emotions that he felt
was betrayal.
was betrayal. Oh my God. Wow. They say there is a Sufi saint actually, and his name is Bakhtiyar Kaki. And there was a disciple of Bakhtiyar Kaki who I met at Miss Shafaq's place, who was your spiritual teacher.
No way! Wow.
Yeah, so I was there. I was there like once or twice only, and both the times some amazing stuff happened. So he was there, and he was talking about that how. So this is like a Sufi philosophy about what happens right before you die or when you're dying. So they're saying like he's talking about how to constantly ask for forgiveness, how to constantly mend your ways, how to constantly be a good person. And the only reason for that is that whatever state of mind you are in, or whatever state that you're in, or whatever emotional state that you're in, freezes at the time of death. And that really influences. I don't want to. Well, I'm saying something very controversial. I'm aware of that because a lot of people may disagree, because we talk a lot about jaza and saza, like the reward and the of the good deeds that you did and the sins of the bad deeds. How do they come into play? I'm just quoting someone that I heard at a disciple of a spiritual teacher, Bakhtiyar Kaki, and he says that when you die, whatever state you're in, it actually just like freezes at that time. So if that were true, and I'm thinking about Julius Caesar, and if one of the last emotions that he felt is an emotion of being betrayed, oh my God.
Yeah.
That is a very dark place to be stuck at.
Wow.
For eternity.
Wow. And think about this. He was stabbed 20 times. That wasn't his concern. His concern was you too. Give me a break. We've had food together, and we've partied together and stuff.
Yeah. And according to that documentary, Brutus was actually Julius Caesar's son.
Illegitimate son.
Yeah. And maybe, it also depends on Julius Caesar's humor. If he was like a humorous person.
I'm not sure where this is going, but carry on.
If he had a great sense of humor, and he knows all these people are conspiring against him. Okay, so maybe he just wanted to say something funny before he died.
Okay.
I would like to say something funny before I die.
Like what?
I don't know. It depends on the situation.
You'll think of what the what the punchline is before you go.
Yeah, there should be a punchline.
Oh man.
Why not go with a punchline?
I like that. Stay in history. In the pages of history, be etched forever. Leena, this has been a bit dark. Okay. I have a fluffy video to share.
Oh, nice.
About what friends do.
A fluffy video about what friends do.
What friends do for each other.
So have we changed the name of the segment from cute videos to fluffy videos?
I quite like fluffy videos.
Yeah. People are, what are they talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So this is two friends.
Okay.
So when one friend is in trouble, the other friend, helps them. That's what friends do. And you protect your friend, and you go out for walks with your friend. Sometimes you give them a piggyback ride if they're tired.
Okay.
You watch the sunset with your friends.
Aww.
You can also lick your friends. I don't know what kind of relationship you have, but essentially, this is what friends do for each other. I think this video for me epitomizes what friendship is.
That's so cute. They're going to actually grow up together.
No.
A pup and a duckling.
See, all of a sudden, we went a bit dark, but after talking about all of that, all of this stuff of mine has gone up by watching this video.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we have next? Let's go back to the dark side.
Okay, up next on the show, Schehzad, we are going to move on towards our Gyan of the moment.
Uh-huh.
And in fact, before we go on, I'm going to relate the Gyan of the moment with the story that I have next. And the story that I have next is actually coming from Gaza. And we haven't had happy stories come out of Gaza, of course, for the longest time.
The only thing I suppose is
Since
these
ever.
little ray of lights in between, and the hope and you know, the willingness and the relentlessness of spirit. Probably for me, that is the best story that's come out.
So we have a few interviews of these kids. And these kids in Gaza were asked what they're dreaming about. And I would like to talk about the power of dreams as well, but right after this. So he says, I dream of seeing my mother and eating bread. I dream of my brother coming back to life. I dream of my father returning. I have dreamt about my father returning too, actually. I dream of eating shawarma. I dream of eating sugar. I dream of all the detainees being released. I dream of breaking the siege. So I feel that these children in Gaza are children, but they're not children anymore. They're adults. How war has changed. I was actually listening to a podcast about it, that how war has changed the children in Gaza. And when a child goes through a trauma, you know, they just grow up. If they have to do adult things, if they have to see things that adults see and go through and talk, they lose their childhood. And you and I can identify with this as well. When Papa passed, you know, Mom did an excellent job. Hi, Mom.
Hey, Mom, how are you?
Mom did an excellent job protecting us, taking care of us. But it was inevitable that, you know, we are going to just grow up and find ourselves in a very different world. And these children in Gaza have actually completely grown up. They are dreaming of sugar and shawarma and cookies and the siege ending and the war and maybe revenge as well, all together in the same dream. It feels really depressing that we are not able to do anything for these children. We live in a country that supports Israel. They have made some progress in trying to get a truce or a ceasefire or give aid to Palestine as well, but that is nothing in compared to the amount of billions of dollars that have been approved in aid for Israel. And at this point, I just feel that, you know, we can just wish and dream for peace. I can just dream of peace, like these kids. And that is going to take me to my next segment. And our next segment is our Gyan of the moment.
By the way, you can tell this is something that affects us deeply, and we try to ride that thin line whereby, because when we go into it and we talk about it, even on the show, we get so worked up, and we get so, the heart, it just goes in a different place, whereby I think our hearts are not usually, but this is something that continues to affect us, and I know it continues to affect everyone and that post was by Bella Hadid.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah. And I'm sorry, please carry
Yeah,
on.
yeah. So next, we are going to go on towards our next segment, and I cannot find a segue.
Oh, it's okay. That's a good segue.
I cannot find a segue. So let's just jump into our Gyan of the moment. And in today's Gyan of the moment, we are talking about how important is change in life. To improve is to change, and to perfect is to change often. Often, however you like to say it. So if you want to improve in your life, you need to change. But if you're looking for perfection, if you're going for better and better, I mean, everyone has a different definition of perfection. Let's start there. If you strive towards excellence or perfection, you have to change more than one time.
Wow.
Again and again, constantly. That's the only constant in our life, change.
Yes, change. I feel for the longest time now, I think I've realized there is no perfection in terms of being perfect. There's perfection being perfect with your imperfections. And that is obviously a continuous growth process. It's a continuous learning process ever. Do you remember we were talking about Princess Diana the other day? And I mentioned she was perfect even with all her imperfections.
Right, right.
And I feel, perfection is just kind of, if you reach perfection, it's just kind of, okay, there's nowhere else to go. There's always places to go. There are always avenues that you can go down, see what happens like this. A testing, B testing, C, D, E, F testing as well.
Right.
So
right.
I find perfection with imperfections to be so much more beautiful than someone who just wants to be perfect, which is impossible.
I mean, obviously, being perfect is impossible. I mean, I think it's perfection is more of a philosophical concept than an actual one, because it cannot be an actual concept because it's not possible. Perfection is not only impossible, it's also subjective.
Yep.
It's different for everybody. What may be perfect for somebody may be imperfect or completely flawed for somebody else. So that also comes into play. And then when it comes to perfection, it is perfection of a certain moment, of a certain day, of a certain time. Like, is it like a goal that you need to reach that goal, and after that, you can just come back down and just chill out and relax. So there's perfection comes with this huge thesis along with it. So let's not just go there. Let's be absolutely perfect in how we are. I think perfection is really about making improvements to the best of your ability.
It's beautifully said. That's a great Gyan of the moment.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Sorry, what is a Gyan for people who've just tuned in and haven't heard us from the first episode?
To improve is to change. To be perfect is to change often. And that's why our show is changing all the time. And we have some new changes coming on this Friday as well. But
great segue.
Thank you.
Oh my God, you found the perfection right there.
Thank you. Thank you so
well
much.
done.
And this Friday. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, this Friday we are going to introduce a theme on the show.
And what may that be?
It's going to be the way we talk.
Yeah.
How we talk, what we talk.
But we are going to call it, are you ready? We're going to call it Desi Fridays.
Desi Fridays.
That's the best we could come up with right now.
Desi Fridays. Desi Fridays. every Friday on the Leena Shah Video Show. You can watch the show Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 p.m. Houston time. But every Friday, it is going to be Desi Fridays. That means we're going to be completely desified. We're going to talk in Urdu, Hindi, Punjabi.
That's it.
Ahoji, chakte, phatte, all that stuff's going to go on. We're going to have lots of Bollywood news.
Absolutely. Lots of shairi and words and wordplay with Urdu and Hindi, Punjabi, and the Desi languages we do know.
That's right.
Yeah.
So don't miss out.
Yes. How are we doing for time?
We're doing great. It's time to sign out. Take care. Peace.
What about the electrical storm? Okay, let's do it tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
We'll do it tomorrow. You need to stay tuned tomorrow, because tomorrow I've got news about a volcano meeting an electrical storm. It is a sight to behold. We're out of time today, but tomorrow we're going to do this.
Peace out. Bye.